Okay, the stream is live. We are live on LinkedIn. Hello, everyone. Thank you for those who have joined in these first few seconds. It will take a little while for the notifications to come out and for other people to join. So I don't like to jump straight in because we need to warm up a little bit. So everyone who has joined, thank you so much for joining this workshop on mastering LinkedIn for your career growth. I'm pretty pumped to hear what Naomi has to share with us. And I'm pretty excited about people putting this stuff into action and actually kicking some goals and really realizing the benefits of using this cool platform. We both love it. Naomi and I, we're kind of LinkedIn tragics. So we just can't wait to help everyone else out to make the most of this awesome platform. So let's get started. So as I said, the idea of the presentation is how to use this platform, LinkedIn, to advance your career, to use ways to advance it more quickly than you can in other ways, or use it as an additional tool to enhance your career. So the three topics we're going to cover this evening, generally, is why your LinkedIn profile needs to be optimized. We'll have Naomi talk about profile optimization and why that's important. We'll also cover what role does content creation play in optimizing your profile, but also just generally making you more employable and advancing your career. And then finally, we'll talk about engagement, what that means for starters, because we all maybe have a different understanding of that word and why it matters. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dan DeVries. I am a career coach for primarily young professionals. I like to work with people who are early on in their career and help them create the careers of their dreams. And we have Naomi Sains here online, and I will let her introduce herself because I won't be able to do it justice. So Naomi, tell us a little bit about you.
Amazing. Oh, well, this is so exciting. I'm a LinkedIn addict, of course. That's why I'm here. Dan and I actually met off LinkedIn. No other place we could have met, really. But yeah, it's been really great to kind of get to know a bit about his work and his advocacy with young professionals. So yeah, it's awesome to be here. A bit about me. I'm a marketing manager at Intopia, which is a digital accessibility company. And I also run a marketing consulting business specializing in LinkedIn and personal branding. So I started on LinkedIn about 6 years ago, so quite a while, and it's been a lot of development, a lot of trial and error, but at the moment I've got to a point where I'm really happy. I've got 11,000 connections, which is great. I've met some really fantastic people, and I've actually secured 2 jobs through the hidden job market on LinkedIn. And by the hidden job market, I mean not on LinkedIn jobs. So I'm actually going to start by sharing a little bit about them because I'm sure you're a bit curious. And then I'll be sharing some of my tips and tricks as we go along as well. So the first role that I got was just by interacting with the founder on LinkedIn. I really loved her work. I loved the business, and I had just been just engaging with her, speaking with her for a while. And I sent her a message asking if she had any marketing positions in the pipeline, and she said yes, and we got chatting and she offered me the position. So that was pretty cool. And then it happened again. So the second one, I had connected with the director many years ago on LinkedIn. Again, commented on each other's posts, interacted with each other's posts, but also my personal branding and putting content out there, I think also helps me stay top of mind. So he approached me and sent me a message on LinkedIn and said, hey, we're looking for a marketing person to join the team, a marketing manager. Would you be interested in having a chat? And then a couple of days later, after a couple more conversations, I got offered the position. So this is the power of LinkedIn, and this is the power of personal branding. So, I was top of mind because I had, kept my personal branding up to date, kept doing content, engaging. These were ones that weren't even through job postings. So LinkedIn, it's an amazing platform for developing your personal brand, nurturing all sorts of opportunities, but also meeting like-minded people who you might not have met in real life otherwise. And it's fantastic for growing your confidence, finding your voice, but also resilience as well. So there's a real opportunity for career growth on LinkedIn by consistently engaging with your network and sharing valuable insights, all of which keep you top of mind. So when opportunities do come up, they're familiar with you and you're one of the first people they reach out to. It's not just about jobs, even though I'm sure a lot of you listening, that's what you're hoping for. But you can also use LinkedIn to score a promotion, get invited to speak at an event or a panel, or even strengthen an award or scholarship application as well. So I could talk for hours on the benefits of LinkedIn, but tonight I'll be just sharing a select few tips, the ones that I think that you can, action pretty much straight away.
Awesome. Just want to pick up on one thing you said there, talking about the hidden job market and how you accessed it through your LinkedIn work. I just want everyone to think about how long a typical recruitment process takes, right? For me, in my experience, it's 3 months, right? It is a long time to run through a recruitment process, interviews, the whole thing. And Naomi's just explained to us, we're talking a few days in a turnaround here, maybe a couple of weeks. So that is powerful in and of itself, just to be able to reduce that lead time or the turnaround time for the recruitment process. And if you're doing multiple job recruitment processes, things can take a long time, and that takes a lot of effort. So, maybe redirecting some of that effort to a platform like this could pay huge dividends. All right. So we're going to kick off with Naomi telling us a little bit about, why having your LinkedIn profile optimized specifically for what we're trying to achieve is so important.
Absolutely. Well, your LinkedIn profile, it's your digital billboard. It's your shot to make a first impression and to show your value. So just like the first piece you see on a website before you scroll, or even the front cover of a book, the banner of your LinkedIn profile, it's the most important part because it gives the first impression of who you are. So when I talk about the banner, I'm talking about your profile photo, your cover photo, and your headline. So these top elements. And whilst I haven't found any specific statistics on how many people only will look at that, I suspect it's similar to websites with users only reading 20% of the content on average. Most will not go all the way down your profile. So that's why at the top, those top banner elements is what you want to focus on first. It's also really important because your profile photo and your headline, they're visible in search results, in comment sections. So even before anyone clicks on your profile, you're giving a first impression. So if there's any two things that you can action after this, at least get your profile photo and headline fixed straight away, because that's what people see. So there's two kind of elements to improving your banner and your profile and your branding in general that I'm going to focus on today. So the first one is developing a brand narrative beyond your job title. So think about what you want to be known for, what makes you different, what you're passionate about, where you'd like to be, what problems do you solve? That's really important. So use all of that to develop wording for your headline. And you can also integrate that into your cover photo as well. So for example, I wear many hats, but my catchphrase is transforming how you market yourself and your business. And Daniel's is helping young professionals earn bigger salaries and the promotions they deserve. So a headline should really tell the person how you help them. So Also make sure that the first part of your headline is 55 characters or less. 55 characters or less, because when it's in search results or in comment sections, it's truncated, which means it's shortened. So you only see a certain amount. If you want to add more to the rest, that's okay, but have that key part as 55 characters or less, because then it'll be cut off otherwise. And the second element I want you to think about on your profile is your visual brand, making it cohesive. So, of course, it's your color elements. That's important, but you can also think about textures and patterns as well. So for me, it's eucalyptus green, and that's tying in with my sustainability passion. Of course, I'm wearing the same colored dress. Branding does come in a lot of different elements. But also I use marble imagery, and that's to signify trust and prestige as well. You know, you go into a really fancy shop signing, you know, a designer shop, they've got marble. You know, it signifies prestige, and I hadn't seen anybody else who'd use marble, so that's why I use that. So think about those kind of visual elements. Tie in the color or the pattern, these visual elements, with both your profile photo and your cover photo as well. You want them to be cohesive. For your profile photo, of course, use a high quality one. It doesn't have to be the super fancy professional one, as long as it's high quality. But I want you to play around with integrating color into your photo. There's a couple of ways you can do this. The most common is just a solid colored background. That's what I use. A lot of LinkedIn top voices use this, and that's because it captures attention. When you're going through search results or comment sections, all these little photos start to blend, and the kind of standard corporate background starts to look the same. So if you can add a pop of color, that will really make you stand out. You can also use a colored ring or gradient, so blending two colors together. I use Canva. It's free. There's so many different templates you can use on it. Dan's nodding. We all love Canva.
It is. So, yes.
Yeah. So it'll help you stand out. Definitely integrate some color. So look, overall, your LinkedIn profile, it's super important for career growth, because you're showcasing your personal brand, but it also gives a snapshot of your skills, and also shows your commitment to maintaining a polished online presence. And that's also very important for when you want to go into more senior roles as well.
Definitely. The other point I would quickly add to that is that don't get turned off by the fact if you see lots of people with, say, these colored backgrounds. Your color can be your brand. And don't be turned off by the fact that maybe someone else out there who's got many more followers or is more important online has the same color. That's not what it's about, because the people that you're trying to attract to your profile, to view you and consider you for a role, they're not the same people that are looking at those other creators doing their sorts of thing. You're not trying to attract the same audience. So having a similar branding to someone else is not necessarily a detractor, unless you are exactly the same and you're trying to compete with someone in the same market and looking the same. Typically, you want to try and be a little bit unique. You want to try and differentiate yourself, I should say. A little bit unique is a misnomer. You can't be a little bit unique. Unique is unique. But yeah, making sure that being consistent and having that consistent presence and approach, and something that differentiates you. Differentiation is what you're trying to achieve.
Spot on. Great note.
Okay, so on the next topic, we were going to talk about what role content creation, as in writing posts. We like to call it content creation because that's the buzzword at the moment, but it's really writing your thoughts and putting them online for everyone to see and interact with. So, what should people be thinking about creating their own posts, their own content, and why? Why is it important?
Well, look, content, it's the heartbeat of LinkedIn, right? What would LinkedIn be without a feed? So we all need content creation on the platform to make LinkedIn what it is. Content, it's how you share your voice, of course, your expertise and value with your network. And content's the area where I find the most of my clients are the most uncomfortable, but it's such a critical area if you want to grow your career and your business. So when you're just starting on LinkedIn, it can seem a bit daunting seeing all the content people are smashing out. That's okay. Creating content, it's uncomfortable, but I pinky promise it will get better with time. It will. I'm sure, Dan, you can attest to that too.
Yeah. Look, I felt very uncomfortable when I first started writing regularly. I started writing regularly only at the start of 2022. So not quite as far down the track as you, but the first little while, it's uncomfortable for a couple of reasons. One, it's like, are people going to relate to this? Is this interesting? Is this, is this a good content? Is this something that people want to read and interact with? That was the first stage. And then the second stage for me was, well, now I know, I think there's some stuff I'm really interested in talking about and writing, but some of it is uncomfortable sharing some of this stuff. It is not like, it takes a while to get used to putting out into what is generally the public domain, some rather personal details about things, but that also gets easier over time, and it makes you so much more relatable. People don't want to see, the perfect polished person in any situation. They want to see the real you, and putting the real you out there takes guts and consistency. But like anything, keep doing it. It does get easier. You're always, we're bad at everything when we first start, right? You're not really an expert until you've done, and you're not an expert until you've failed a lot. So doing more and getting on top of it, it's so true. And you will still come up against things that make you uncomfortable. And unless you don't want to be, in my opinion, you don't want to be doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable to a point where you can't really manage your own emotions and expectations around it. But there needs to be a level of discomfort. For me, that a moderate level of discomfort is a signal you're on the right track.
That's it. And that's the first thing that I wanted to discuss with people, because it's these self-limiting inner thoughts that stop us from putting ourselves in the line. So you've touched on some of these. It's no one really cares what I have to say, or is the effort going to be worth it? I'll never be a LinkedIn expert, so what's the point? Or I don't know what to post. I'm not experienced enough, or even I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to be proud or pushy. But these self-limiting thoughts, they lead nowhere. They keep us in our comfort zone and they keep us small. So the first point I wanted to share about the content is next time you're posting, I want you to stop to identify what self-limiting beliefs are coming up and reframe them, because you do have a lot to offer and people do want to hear what you have to say, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So that, I dare say, is the most important content tip of all. So I wanted to touch on that before I move to a couple of other ideas. But onto a bit more of the nitty gritty. Helping with the I don't know what to post element is regularly collecting ideas. So stay proactive, jot them down, use a project management tool or a document. I love using Trello, and just write them down. It doesn't matter. They don't have to sound fancy. It might just be a sentence or a couple of words. Maybe a post about this, or I remember this project that I did where I overcame this challenge. Like, write them down. You can also get content ideas by observing what others are sharing as well. It's a goldmine for inspiration. Of course, you make it your own. And the final point on collecting ideas, if you're really stuck, you can also use AI tools to help you brainstorm. They're here to help us explore a few topic ideas that resonate, but then, of course, make the content your own. So that's the the collecting that ideas, that's super important. If you're also stuck for what to post, reshare other people's content. I think that's LinkedIn set up to do that as well. It's an excellent strategy to diversify your feed whilst also bringing valuable insights to your audience. And it also shows that you're paying attention to what's going on in your network as well. When you reshare, make sure to add your thoughts to it, because you want to make it your own as well. Highlight your perspective and even the post's significance as well. So that's on the kind of ideation side. As to what a post should look like, you may have noticed on LinkedIn, the structure is a little bit different to other platforms. It's generally a bit more spacious. I want you to think about a couple of key elements when you're doing your post. First of all is your hook. So it's the first sentence or two to grab attention. Now, what LinkedIn does, it will only show, 2 to 3 lines of your post, and then it'll cut it off and it'll have a little read more. Now, what happens is when people click that read more button, it is signaling to LinkedIn that your content is something that people want to read. They click the read more, they get to see your whole content, but it's actually a cue. So if you can have your first, 2 to 3 lines grabbing attention, making people want to read it, that will help boost the algorithm. So your hook, that's really important. Of course, your key points in the middle. Content on LinkedIn, I've found that performs best is generally shorter. It's these kind of readable bites. Use dot points. I love using emojis to break it up. I like the little tick icons. This spacious content performs best on LinkedIn. And then finally, at the end, you want a call to action, or in marketing land, a CTA. And that could be something like read the full article, or which tip will you try this week, or what are your thoughts? And that will increase engagement as well. Create a conversation. That's what LinkedIn's for, right?
And we'll get on to engagement in the next, my Google speaker's thinking I'm talking to it. So we'll get on to engagement in a minute. I just wanted to pick up on one point you had there around starting early, and feeling those feelings of inadequacy or it not being important or valuable. One thing that I definitely came across, and that most of you will probably come across once you start committing and doing this regularly, is you have those feelings in the start and you do it anyway. And then what you get hit with is someone will put you down for doing what you do. And that will take it up a notch, right? That'll go from, I was not feeling comfortable with this. I'm starting to get the hang of this. And then you'll get a hater. And then someone will come in and go like, and for me, it was in real life, right? These are people that I know. They're going, what's all this then kind of concept. And that's the next layer, in my opinion, that you need to get past. Is that there's the confidence is, okay, I'll build that confidence by doing it. And then you'll get your confidence knocked. And that will happen more than once, most likely, but at least once at the very start. And that, if you can power through that kind of scenario, that position, that's when you've made it through to the other side, and you've gotten past those, those things that make you lack confidence and make you want to stop. And once you get past those, it's a lot easier. It doesn't get easy, but it becomes a lot easier.
Spot on. I think we should move on to engagement whilst we're on that topic. But I just want to remind everyone that we will be having a quick Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions, pop them in the comments, and we'll be going through them, and I'll answer a couple at the end as well.
Yeah. So then you were speaking briefly there about, at the end, the call to action to promote engagement. So what do you mean by engagement? I know what you mean. But I want you to be specific. How do people understand what engagement is to do with their content and why it matters?
Well, look, you can have the best profile on LinkedIn. You can have it absolutely looking great. But if you're not interacting with your network, they'll have no idea who you are. So engagement is the conversations that you have. It's people who might comment or react with your posts, but it's the actions that you're taking. And it helps build relationships, expands your network as well, but it also keeps you top of mind as well. So when opportunities do come up, people know who you are. There's a couple of key elements for better engagement on LinkedIn. I'm just going to focus on 3 today. The first one, expanding your network strategically. You know, you want to have a certain number of people, but you can make it strategic, of course. Connecting with people from companies that you really admire, maybe you'd like to work for them in the future or you volunteer for them. Just connect. Why not? Send a connection request. You can use the search function to find leaders by like title or industry if you want to get that granular. But also pay attention to suggested connections in the manage your network part, because the LinkedIn algorithm, it's fantastic and it will do the heavy lifting for you. It knows who you've connected with in the past, who you're interacting with. I know, sorry if that sounds scary, but that's how it works. And it'll show you suggested connections. So it takes the heavy lifting. It does the heavy lifting. So suggested connections, that's great. But you can also see who's commenting on your connections posts as well. Maybe they're industry leaders that you follow or somebody that, you know, a CEO at an organization that you'd like to work for. You can start connecting with their connections. So then when that person goes to your profile, they'll see that there's mutual connections. So that also helps. Most importantly on LinkedIn, the number one engagement tip I give people is commenting. It's really important for relationship building and keeping you top of mind. The more you're commenting on a specific contact's posts, the more they're getting, you know, positive interactions for you for commenting, but also they'll keep seeing your name. You become more familiar. It's easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. Dan leaves really great comments. If you want some ideas for comments, you can go into his profile, go to the bottom, and beside posts, you can see his comments. Take a look at them. Commenting is the way to go.
On that note, so I fully agree, but commenting is not, it's really important in my experience to comment meaningful, more than surface level, right? Because if you want to start a conversation, you don't just go, yeah, awesome, or hey, cool stuff. You know, like it's meaningless, and the algorithm knows that. It's not going to promote you and get you the kind of connections and awareness that or visibility that you want to have by doing the easy thing. The easy thing being, I'll go on, I'll like stuff, look at stuff. You're better off being very targeted and put in much more effort to each comment, but more than commenting on like 1,000 comments that have little value is probably worse for you than not commenting. Mm-hmm. But commenting, say, 5 really well thought out, you've read the whole post, you have something to add. It's totally cool to disagree. Disagreeing is oftentimes an important thing to do. You need to put your case forward, put your perspective forward, and really mean it. So only my tip is only comment on stuff that's got you excited or kind of got you back up a little bit. You're like, hey, this isn't right. I don't agree with that, and here's why I think so. Something that sparks an emotive response in you. Those are the ones you want to comment on. If it excites you or upsets you, those are the 2 areas. That's where you can get in there and respectfully always, because LinkedIn has that kind of underlying concept of it's respectful professional conversations. Disagree with someone or add something meaningful to it. So don't just be going out there and spamming 1,000 comments on people. They have to be meaningful, and what you want to do is start or continue a conversation. That's the goal. It's about a conversation, and without the conversation, you know, LinkedIn's kind of pointless.
Quality over quantity. Straight from the comment king. I love it.
And as you get and it's okay to embellish, right? Being concise in a comment is not always the best idea. I obviously like to talk a lot, which is why I go on and on and on, but getting your point across in enough words, reiterating things in there as well. Those kinds of writing techniques that you can say something twice in a row, literally twice in a row, and it can mean this, it can emphasize the value of what you're saying. So those techniques to make yourself more engaging, more enticing. People want to have a conversation with you. Ask questions, point out flaws, point out errors, and add your experience as to why you think that's the case. And that's how you get people engaged in a conversation. If you constantly just agree and say, that's awesome, people are going to go, cool, thanks, bro. Like, what do I do with that? So yeah, good tips. We are at 30 minutes now. So I'm going to
let's go to the Q&A then.
To some Q&A. So before, I'm just going to remind everyone, as Naomi said, throw any Q&As and any Qs, right? We're not going to give you the A's until you ask the Qs. Throw any questions you have into the comment section. I'll quickly monitor that. And while we're waiting for anyone to ask some questions, I'll quickly give Naomi a chance to plug herself and her services. So just tell us a bit about what your service is in a nutshell, probably what your headline would be if that was your main game, and how people can get in touch with you. And I already know the answer to that. It's on LinkedIn, right? But if there are any other ways.
Yes, that's it. But look, my real aim is to help professionals to really lift their personal branding on LinkedIn and to be able to get more opportunities, more promotions, more clients through LinkedIn. I also assist businesses as well with empowering their employees to be better brand advocates. So whether you're a professional or you're a business, there's a whole lot of things I can help you with, anything to do with LinkedIn. But yes, the best way to get in touch with me is, of course, on LinkedIn. So I look forward to meeting you all as well.
Who'd have thunk it? So we've got one question so far, which is from Hisham. And his question is, how important is it to get LinkedIn premium membership? Now, this is a contentious question. I have been reading a lot about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts first, Naomi, and then I'm going to chime in with what I've been reading.
Yes, that's it. I have LinkedIn Premium for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because I think that having that LinkedIn Premium icon or sticker is showing that I'm serious about being on the platform. That does help. Also, you get a whole lot of in-mails, which is really, really useful. So I'm actually on the lowest one. I cheat. I'm on LinkedIn Career, and I was on LinkedIn Career even when I wasn't looking for a job, but because it gives you it gives you a certain amount of in-mails, and you can also see unlimited people in your search results. If you have the free version, there's only a certain amount of searches you can do a month. I think if you're in a role, sales, business development, partnerships, these kind of roles where it's really, really important to have that relationship building, I think it is something worth looking into. But otherwise, if you're just kind of wanting to use it for the sake of personal branding purposes, it may not be worth the money.
Good points. So for those who don't know what an in-mail is, it just means you can send a DM to someone who is way outside your network, and usually you wouldn't be able to do that. And that is sometimes really, really valuable. So that alone is sometimes worth the membership. There's often free premium trial periods that they'll throw around. So if they offer you a free month, my recommendation would be take it up and try it. And if it's not for you, just cancel at the end of the month. It's cost you nothing, and you figured out what's good for you and what's not. You can really make that value judgment call. The thing I'm going to add is that I've been reading a lot about the way that LinkedIn is treating its, so not as a human, but the way that the LinkedIn system is being designed to treat its premium members versus its non-premium members. And that's become specifically important now that we're entering bit of an economic downturn. LinkedIn is actually laying off staff and they're doing cost savings. And so I've read with zero evidence, but I'm going to put it out there anyway, that they are preferencing people who have LinkedIn premiums, any of the premium accounts, for visibility in people's feeds over people who don't have LinkedIn premium. And that is a kind of subversive way to encourage more people to join the premium and to increase their revenue so that they can get through these rocky economic times, right? And I've seen people that have done some analysis and shown, look, we think this is what is happening. The thing with any algorithm is that it's a black box. They never release exactly how it works. They will give you guidance at best. Here's what we would like you to do. So there'll be a guidance document from LinkedIn. We want people to, for instance, they said, we want people to leave longer, more meaningful comments, which is why I started leaving longer, more meaningful comments, and it had a big influence. So there you go. There's my conspiracy theory for this evening, but it makes a lot of sense, right? It's a revenue game, and they do have to look out for the platform to keep on going. It's not to say that you won't get seen if you're not premium. It's just that people believe there is a bias that is starting to be introduced. Okay, we have two more questions. The next one is from Stefan. Hey, Stefan. He asks, how should your experience section on LinkedIn differ from what's on your CV, or should it? I added that last week.
I personally use mine fairly similarly. I like that on LinkedIn you have a bit more space. So you can talk a bit more about what projects you've been involved with. You know, on your CV, it's usually really compact. You've only got so much room to talk about what you're doing. So how I like to treat my experience section on LinkedIn is to just do like a 1 or 2 sentences about what my role has been. And then if I want to give more detail, you could use, dot points, or again, you can actually add in links as well. So if you've worked on a specific project, or maybe you've launched a website, you're a developer, you can add those links in as well, and it shows up as a little preview. So you still want to keep it concise, but there is also room for you to share your story a bit more because you have more space than on your CV. So look, I think they're pretty similar. And I think there's only a certain amount of people who will actually read the description. Most people just kind of on LinkedIn, if they're scrolling through, they might be, oh, this is the title of this person at this company. A lot of people don't read the descriptions. That's probably only in a job hunting context where people will actually start to look at the description in a little bit more detail. And if it's a job hunting context, they're probably reading your CV too.
I fully agree. I keep my profile pretty much as my CV or even so much as I don't even keep my CV up to date. I use LinkedIn and I do the CV creation thing and I download that, and that becomes the basis of my resume. So that I keep my LinkedIn profile up to date. I'm constantly tweaking, changing, even things like I would suggest when you finish up with a role, I like to go in and change the language from present tense to past tense. This is what I did. This is what I achieved. Not this is what I am doing. This is what I am achieving. I don't know if that's just me being very particular, but I like to have the right kind of wording and terminology in previous roles versus current role. So the last question, because we are going to run out of time, is from Jordan. How much should I post under my company brand versus my own? Should I be most opinionated on my personal and diplomatic on my company brand? I love this question.
Oh, okay. Jordan, I can't see who you are or what your industry is. I'll do my best to answer. I think if you're like running a business of your own, for example, sole trader, and then you also have you as well, the way I differentiate between them is on your personal profile, I'd be sharing a bit more of, like you said, your opinionated pieces, that storytelling, that, what you've learned from past lessons, that kind of like building trust kind of more content, plus a bit of value as well, because you really need to, give value to your audience. But your company page itself, will again probably be a little bit more formal depending on what the business is. But yeah, probably a bit more on that kind of that value front, that tip front, sharing more about what you do as opposed, because that's the company, right? As opposed to your personal brand. I'm a big fan of people who, if they have their own personal, if you're a sole trader and you've got your own LinkedIn page and then you have I'd be posting mostly on your profile, because we connect with people more than we do with a logo, more than we do with a brand. It gets better engagement. You're interacting with a real person as opposed to just like a little icon on the screen. So if you are kind of in that situation, I'd be posting primarily on your own page and then a bit on your company page just to kind of keep the engagement up. Because if you're a sole trader, you run your own business, you are the brand. Hopefully that answers your question.
So, and statistically speaking, company pages get less engagement than individual pages.
They do.
It's just a fact. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but definitely there's lower engagement on company pages, even for household names. It's just how it is. The biggest accounts on LinkedIn are individuals posting about themselves and their journey. That's where all of the really big numbers come from, and the really engaging accounts do that. For the ones that I follow, I follow a lot of big companies, and you get a little bit, but it's less passionate, less engaged, less heartfelt sort of real conversations. It's more that a little bit more polished, a little bit more formal. At this organization, we stand for this. You can't be quite as provocative and get that attention that you need to do as a business, unless your business is specifically in that line. Okay, so we have reached beyond the time that I had tried to keep this within, but that's okay. I think we had some really good questions there. I want to encourage anyone who's on the line who wants to get into the LinkedIn game, so to speak, or wants to improve their LinkedIn game and use it to advance their career. Get in touch with Naomi, send her a DM, ask her about all of the different ways that she can help. And there's quite a few. So, and some of them, some of them can be done very quickly and very easily, and some of them take a little bit longer and need a little bit more guidance. So there's a package or an option there for everyone who wants to just improve what they do. And if you want to, if you're a young professional and you want to advance your career beyond LinkedIn, because this is just a platform and a tool that I use. For me, I am not that closely honed in on using just one tool to do a very complex job, which is career advancement. So if you'd like to have a conversation with me, you can DM me on LinkedIn, funny that, or you could get in touch with me however you want. I'm on pretty much every platform. So find me, ask me any questions. I give free initial consultations to anyone who wants it. And it's not a sales pitch. It's ask me questions and I'll give you answers. So reach out to either of us anytime. We're, as we said, tragics, and we're pretty much on LinkedIn all the time. So you'll get a quick response most of the time. And we would love to hear from you. And thank you everyone for attending. I know this went over time. There will be a recording up for those who couldn't make it to the live. You can watch it later on LinkedIn. And I always download a copy of the stream and I chop out the gaps and silences to make it more efficient, and I pop it up on YouTube. So you can watch it later in a shorter time. And the other benefit with YouTube is you can speed it up. So you can save yourself time. And I do that. So that's why I put it up on YouTube. So thanks everyone for coming. If you have any questions that you think of after the fact, please shoot us a DM, ask anything you want. We're happy to answer your questions. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you at the next one, whatever that may be and whenever that may be. All right.
Good night.